Jack and his father lived in a small house. Every night his father tells him a story in a book about how giants descended from a tall tree onto the earth and tormented humans by destroying humans' habitat, taking all their wealth, and lastly eating humans. The humans also strike against them with the leadership of a king called Eric. He finds a way to capture one of the giants and took off his heart. He melted the giant heart with magic and other things and made a crown out of it. As soon as the brave king put the crown on his head, the giants become slaves to his commands. He commanded them to go back to where they came from and not return. After the giants returned, the king ordered his men to cut the tree down. Humans live in peace, and when King Eric died he carried along with him the crown and the seeds which rise the tall tree from which the giant used to descend on earth. His father told him giants are unreal, but Jack still believes in the existence of giants. This made Jack ask his father what they would do if the giant returned to earth again. His father told him they won't come again because they are not living creatures but just a story, and if in any case they return to earth, they will have to fight and defeat them again. 10 years later, Jack has now grown into a handsome gentleman. He was sent to the market by his uncle to sell their horse since things have been very hard for them. On his way to the market, he went to a theater where they were displaying a story about their ancestors. There he saw a beautiful lady while some men try to attack and abuse her sexually, but Jack intervenes to her rescue. He received some slaps from the men. Not knowing the lady she rescued was the princess of the town. The guards came quickly and one of the guard take her on his horse. Suddenly each and everyone bowed when they appeared except Jack. He was then told by one of the guards that if he hadn't had any injury on his knees then he should kneel on the ground. Jack kneels and they left the theater with the princess. At the king's castle, they found out that someone has broken into a place where they have kept King Eric's crown and the bean seeds. The person took away the seed and left the crown behind. When the king heard the news he ordered each and everyone at the palace to come for an inspection. While Jack was on his way to sell his horse, he saw the man who wanted to buy the horse. He said he has no money but will give him bean seeds instead. Initially, Jack did not cope with the man's suggestion, but when the man told him he can get his money back even plus an interest, Jack agreed to him. The man told him not to make the seed wet because those seeds are special. The man rode Jack's horse in wanting to escape, but he was caught in the process and accused of stealing the bean seeds. Jack on the other hand was rebuked by his uncle for letting an unknown man rob him. In the process, one of the bean seeds fell on the ground under their house. At the same time, the princess was scolded by the king for going out and insisted that she has to marry a man called Peter who is twice times her age. In the evening, the princess dressed in different attire and sneaked out of the palace to find an adventure. On her way, it started raining, so she looked out for a place to rest for some time. He saw a small house and entered, not knowing the place is Jack's home. She tried to hide her identity from Jack, but Jack noticed her and bowed to the princess. They started a conversation with each other. At that moment, the seed that fell was wet by the rainwater. It develops into a tall tree instantly and carried Jack's house upwards. Jack escaped from the house and tried his best to rescue the princess, but he couldn't. He fell from the top of the tree and landed on the ground while the princess was taken wide miles away. In the morning when Jack awoke, he was surrounded by the king and his guards. The king asked him why her daughter's bracelet is with him and where is her daughter. He told the king what had happened and the king sent his guard to rescue his daughter. Jack and Peter devoted themselves to join the guards. They were instructed to climb up the tall tree and bring back the princess. They started their journey and climbed the tree with a rope tied against their waist. They continued to climb the tree for days even when it is raining. On their way, some of the guards slipped and were hanged. Peter insisted that they should cut off the robe and allow them to die. Finally, they got to the end point of the tree where they saw Jack's house. On their way to find the princess, Peter threatened Jack to give him all the bean seeds. Jack gave it to him, but luckily for him it was left with one. They told him not to tell anyone, and if he does so, he will be killed. When they reached some designated place, Jack found a book he gave to the princess on the ground and told his colleagues about it. Their leader divided them into groups since the princess will be somewhere near the place. Jack's group discovered a giant who captured 2 of his members including their leader. Jack followed the giant till he reached a place where the giants have captured the princess. On the other hand, Peter and his friend persuaded a guy in their group that they'd found the princess and pushed the guy to death. Unlucky for Peter's friend, he was killed by a giant. Another giant tried to kill Peter, but he removed King Eric's crown from his bag and quickly showed it to the giant. The giant whom Jack followed also bring the 2 people he had captured, the captain and his assistant. The giant, who at that time was their king and was more like a Siamese twin, quickly take the assistant captain and eat him. In just a minute, Peter, the king's friend who was also sent, came with a giant crown on his head. Immediately they saw Peter, all the giants bowed including their king. Peter was a powerful, corrupt man. The moment he was bowed by these giants, he proposed to them that they should return to Earth and conquer everything again as they did in King Eric's time. They all shouted and jubilated as their wish was about to be accomplished. Peter ordered the giant chef to cook the princess and captain who were captured. Jack came in that same time as the captain was displayed together with some pigs to be used as supper. The giant chef set the pace and was about to roast them. Amazingly, Jack climbs up and strikes the chef with a sharp machete till the giant became lifeless. When Peter heard the news, he sends one of the giants to go and block the entry so that mankind won't be able to exit. But at this time, Jack together with the princess and the captain were also finding their way out. They noticed the giant as they were far from his area, but Jack quickly came in with an idea that seems very horrible to the captain. They find beeswax and took it inside the giant face armor when he was asleep. This awakened the giant and made him fall from the sky to the ground. When the king of the princes saw the dead giant on earth, he ordered his men to cut down the tree as he bid his last farewell to his daughter. Quickly the men started cutting the tree, but meanwhile, Jack and the princess were very delighted about sending the giant down so in a haste manner. She hugs Jack and kissed him. The captain was amazed why a royal princess will kiss a commoner, so he stood still to watch. Jack and the princess head their way to descend from the place, but the captain decided to wait and kill Peter and returned home with a crown. He gave Jack a badge and Jack also gave him his knife for his safety. The next day, as Jack and the princess were on the tree returning home, Peter was leading the giants and all of the giants were seen cheering and singing as they were about to return to Earth for the first time in many years. The captain, who had waited the whole night, boldly forced himself on Peter and both started to fight. They fought very hard and at some point, Peter was even on the edge to kill the captain, but the captain used his skills to turn the dynamics of the situation. He stabbed Peter on his chest. Struggling, Peter tried to call for help but got himself killed and the crown was taken by the conjoined giant.